Dad coming at supper time. You come at my supper time every time.
You must be alternating your supper time.
No, I always eat between 4 and 5 o'clock. I've always done that. When you gonna trade that old car off?
Why you got cameras up everywhere? You scared somebody's gonna come in here and try to rob you or something? You got all these high tech, sophisticated cameras. You probably got cameras hidden somewhere that I can't even see.
Trees.
Got them up in the tree. Why you got all the cameras up for? You got something to hide?
Yeah, I'm bootlegging. The law comes up out here, well, I can tell, and I go run hide my junk.
Well, you know, back in Mama Lucy's day, there was a lot of that went on, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I seen a man when I was a kid had some whiskey out in the field. I sat there in my porch and watched him hide it, cramming bottles in the field. He left. I went out there and I could not find any bottles of whiskey. I tromped all over. This old sagegrass grew up about that high. I tromped all over and I never did find it. I was going to steal this whiskey and I never did find it.
After you sitting there watching him put it in there?
After I sat there, I watched him. He had it in his hand. I could see the bottles. And he'd stick it down here and he'd stick some here and stick some over there.
Lord, Lord.
And I couldn't find it. I don't guess it's a good thing I didn't because I'd got drunk, I guess, if I'd found it.
Well, sure you would have. Then you'd have got out of here and got in trouble.
Kid. I was about 12 years old.
Lord, Lord.
But he bootlegged. His house about 4 minute our house right over there. And if people come up there and buy whiskey from him, he bootlegged it.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was over in Kenton?
That was out from Kenton, out towards out east of Kenton, about, I guess, 3-4 miles.
Going over where the Hobbses are now?
Well, not far where the Hobbs are, not that far. That road going straight out of Kenton there, going across the railroad track, going out east there. It went out that road straight out to about, I don't know, 3-4 miles.
Did you ever know Ethel, that used to be the Hobbs' sister? As a young girl, her name was Ethel. She wound up marrying, going up north, and
No,
never knew her.
I've known J. Ray all my life.
You have?
Yeah. Went to school with him.
Yeah, but there's more Hobbses than just him.
Yeah, no, he got 2 or 3 brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's aunts and uncles and nieces.
Yeah, they.
So you didn't know the whole family?
Oh, I didn't know the whole family. And I know the Crabtrees. They lived over with the Hobbs.
Crabtrees.
Uh-huh.
Somebody told me the other day that they had found a bunch of headstones of a family called the Henrys. I never did know no family being raised up nowhere around in that area called Henry. The Henry family. There's a Henry rifle.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that ain't got nothing to do with that family.
No. That Henry goes back into probably the 18s.
Yeah, it was in the 1800s.
Yeah, when
See, they come up. It's kind of like a crop of corn or a crop of beans. They'll crop up. This family will. They'll have 7, 8, 10 people, and you don't watch them. They'll generate just like a bunch of whatever.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, that generation will die out, and then there won't be no more of them.
No. Well, the Jordan family's about to die out.
They are. They are.
There's not much left. I don't know where Todd's bunch of boys are. He had 2 boys. They was in Paducah.
Was one of them named Ricky?
No. One was named Charles. Well, one could have been named Ricky, but I don't think so. Now, Ricky was in James's family.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had 2 sons.
And of course, I'm sure there's
Of
been.
course, Todd, he died real young. He died or had a car wreck or something.
Right. I'm sure there's been so many that's died over in Dyer, you don't remember none of them by now.
No. Todd, he worked at the ice cream place at Fulton. Swiss ice cream. They used to have Swiss ice cream years and
That's
years
right.
ago.
That's right.
And he worked at that factory, and he worked there a while, and he told them he wanted to have a raise. And they said, well, Todd, give me time to think about it, and we'll let you know. He come in one morning, they called him in the office. He said, now, Todd, said, we've thought about this. said, we're gonna give you a cent and a half raise. We don't want you to say nothing to nobody about this.
Right.
Todd studied a little while. He said, you need to worry. He said, I'm as damn ashamed of it as y'all are. And he told it to be the truth. But
Just ashamed of it as y'all are.
yeah.
Did you ever know the old boy that run the hardware store there in Dyer?
Yeah.
Bald-headed, tall, slanky guy. He wound up selling his hardware store out.
That was, can't think of his name.
I meet him down there at the YMCA all the time, him and his wife.
Well, he ain't married. Oh, yeah, he divorced the first wife.
Yeah,
I guess he married again, didn't he?
he did. He's got him a little blondie now. I say a little
Yeah.
blondie. He's probably 60.
I
He's
can't
every
call-
bit of 60.
can't call his
Maybe a
name
little bit
right
older than that. Maybe about 65. Maybe a little older than that.
Oh, yeah, he's 60, 65, maybe a little older, yeah.
Yeah,
I bought my boat from him down there in the Kitten Hardware.
you did.
Yeah. I went to Corinth, Mississippi and bought 3 back. I bought mine back and 2 more on the same trailer. And he paid me what the freight run on him 3 to get them and
Uh-huh.
took it off mine.
Well,
I
that
bought
was
my reloader and shotgun reloader from him down
that was wheeling and a dealing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did Nicholas, my son, call you yesterday, the day before yesterday?
Who?
My son, Nicholas.
I don't reckon what. Well, if he did, he didn't send out on answering machine because I had some phone numbers on it and I looked.
He was trying to locate Reba and Reba's husband. What's her husband's name?
Randy.
Randy, that's right. Trying to locate their business because he's building a house down there in Memphis right now. What's the name of their business?
It's Parm.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
Parm,
Parm.
Parm,
Parm refrigeration. Parm heating and cooling and plumbing, electrical.
okay.
They over in Missouri right now.
They are. What are they doing over there?
Vacation.
Oh, really?
They got a spot up in the mountains over there in Missouri.
In the Ozarks?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's where Jesse James and all of them, you know, they claim that Jesse James buried a bunch of money that still people hadn't found it.
I don't know about that. He could have.
Well, the reason why I wanted to stop here and ask you, other than asking you about Nicholas calling you, you're 86 now.
I'm 87.
Well, if you are, you just turned
No,
87.
no. In June, I did in June, yeah.
Well, June was just like 6 weeks ago. 75 years ago, President Truman made...
Or your son in Memphis now?
Yeah. 75 years ago, Mr. Truman made an announcement that the war was over. Pertaining to us, President Truman. I know you know who he is.
Yeah.
Don't act like you don't know who he is.
No,
He made an announcement that the war was over yesterday. Yesterday, 75 years ago. Since you're 87,
44. The war was over in 44.
so since you're 87, that meant you was 11 or 12 years old
Right.
whenever that announcement got made.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, was the people jubilating in this area pertaining to the war being over? Was it a jubilation?
Back then, we had we didn't know what was going on other than the little world we was in. We had no radio, no telephone, no nothing. And we didn't know. It ain't like now something happened in New York City in 2 minutes, you know all about it. But we didn't know it. It'd be 2 or 3 years before we know anything happened.
Oh, God.
Yeah. We didn't have radio.
Wouldn't be that long,
We
would
didn't
it?
have electricity. We had.
What's that noise? What is that, a bird?
Yeah, that's a bird. That's a bird, yeah.
That ain't some of your devices fixing to go off, is it, Uncle Bill?
Yes,
You ain't got no explosives or nothing
I've
going.
got some set up around here. It goes off at certain times.
You always got booby traps. Booby traps, booby traps, booby traps.
Certain sound sets them on. When you talk too loud, it sets them on.
But you don't remember a jubilation long about the age of 12, 13 years old that the war was over, the war was
I
over?
remember the war was over and people got out in the yard and shot the guns and everything.
You do remember that?
I remember that, but
Where was you whenever the war
I
got
was out
over?
from Kenton,
You was.
1944, and my daddy had an old 40-something Chevrolet.
Yeah. Because he didn't die until 10 years after that.
Uh,
He didn't pass away until 10 years after that.
he was 57 years old when he died.
Yeah, he was a young man, but he died in 54, right?
57.
Was it 57 he
I
died?
think so. I think it's 57.
May have been 57.
I think he died.
But anyways, he had a what? He had a what? A Studebaker?
No, he had an old Chevrolet
Truck?
Chevrolet car. Had that old knee action stuff in the front end of it. Boy, that was something back in them days. Had that cars.
I'm surprised there was any roads that had blacktop on them to be able to
There
ride a
wasn't
car
no
down
blacktop.
down a road.
There wasn't. Very few roads were gravel.
They was basically all dirt roads,
Dirt
wasn't it?
roads. We lived at one place. The house was 4 meters down the lake off the road, and we couldn't get to it in the wintertime with the car because there's an old dirt road just marred down in it. We'd have to leave it down to the roadway model and walk to the house.
Walk to the house and walk back to the
Uh-huh.
vehicle.
But we didn't go nowhere. Hardly ever you went anywhere.
Well, wasn't that an inconvenience?
Huh?
Wasn't that an inconvenience?
Sure it was. Everything was inconvenient. We had to scrub boards. We didn't have no washing machines. Iron. We had to put on top of stoves.
And of course, your mowing devices, they was those old kind of with the wheel that you cut your grass. They wasn't nothing like today mower.
No, that push mowers and had reels on
Had a
it.
reel on it.
Yeah. And that thing you had to push and push and push.
It'd wear you out, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? Huh?
Yeah. If you put an hour pushing on that mower, you would give out.
That'd be like picking cotton for an hour, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I pick cotton. I pick 300 pounds a day.
You make 300 pounds a day.
No, 200. I pick 200. I pick 200 pounds by 2 o'clock and I'd quit. I pick 100 and something in the mornings, and in the afternoon I pick one sack full, weigh it, and have what I wanted. I'd weigh it up a lot of times, 100 pounds a sack.
Good God.
But I worked with a man they pick 600 pounds a day.
Good God. Was he a black man?
No, he's a white man.
No, I ain't never heard no white man picking no 600 pounds. No, you wrong about that now, Uncle Bill.
He had two.
A black man picked 600 pounds, not a white man.
I'm going to call his name in a minute.
Wasn't no white man picking no 600 pounds.
Picked 600 pound cotton a day. He got out there with daybreak and worked till dark.
Good God, no kidding. I bet his fingers was tore all to pieces, wasn't they?
I don't know, but he'd pick it every day, 600 pound cotton.
You know, those old birds make your fingers bleed.
Oh yeah, they get tough. We'd wrap tape around them.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably cheated. You probably put dirt clods and
I put
everything else in your
I put
brick
stalk
bat.
If a stalk come off when I was pulling it, it went in the sack.
Stalk and all.
Stalk and all bowls and everything. Sometimes the little bitty ones I just get hold of and pull like this.
You know, I don't even know that I could even pull the sack, much less fill the sack up now. That daggum sack was pretty hard to pull, wasn't it?
Yeah. I had to put it on that old ground. Yeah, and I could pick that 100 pound up and throw it right over my shoulder.
Lord, Lord.
But I can't do it now. I'm lucky to pick up 50 pounds now.
Yeah.
5 gallons of gasoline is real heavy to me now, and it didn't used to be that heavy.
Right. Who's this over here talking?
It's an old bird over there.
I hear a human being talking.
That's him over on the porch over there, right yonder.
Do you know him? About half the people know you here. They drive by here. You must be one of their main suppliers. What are you doing up here? You still making moonshine or something?
I don't know a whole lot about
You a supplier?
Uh,
You one of their suppliers?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you supplying?
Anything they want.
You just got a drugstore going, don't you? Oh. Did you ever get down by Hop In much whenever you was a little kid?
Yeah, I used to go to Hot Bin all the time.
Did you?
Yeah.
Do you remember Lim's store?
Yeah.
You know, my grandfather run that for quite a while. Well-
Susie Goff married a man that run a store there on it. As you got to come across that levee and went around that curve. Simmons. His name was
Simmons.
Dan Simmons.
Yeah, Dan Simmons. So you knew Susie.
Yeah. I know
Wow.
Susan, Jerry, Sonny. Jerry, he got burned up by a truck or a car or something.
Right?
I don't know, Son. I guess Sonny's still living. He got a daughter in Martin, and Sonny is.
Does he? So you knew Sue Simmons.
Yeah. Tudor Simpson.
Tudor Simpson. Why'd they adopt that boy for? Why'd they adopt that boy for?
Tudor?
No, Sue. They adopted Danny D. What did they adopt him for?
I don't know.
May have been later on after you done moved up to Chicago. But them Goffs, they was pretty rough around the edges, wasn't they?
Well, they wasn't too bad.
You know, they claim two or three hangings happened down in that area, and some killings down in there. You know.
Well, yeah, old Paul Barner went and killed a couple of people, shot them.
You know, Did you know Crazy Grady?
Yeah,
Grady Garden,
yeah, no loving.
right? He done a lot of moonshining down there.
Yeah, a lot of them done that.
There was another one down there that done a lot of moonshining called Homer Thompson.
Don't know him.
He lived down below us. Everybody called him Sonny.
I don't know him.
He was married to B Thompson. And there was Jinx Wallace. Oh, Jinky. I don't know if you knew Jinky.
Jenkins, I know some Jenkins.
Oh, you knew some Jenkins? Did you ever know Bill Ramsey?
No Rudden, I didn't really know him.
And Moselle, Marlon Linda. Brother Caldwell. Did you know Brother Caldwell? That was the preacher down in Alamo Baptist Church for years and years and years. You knew my grandmother,
Yeah,
Aldell.
yeah,
And you knew my other grandmother.
yeah.
How'd you know my other grandmother?
I knew your daddy's brother and your sister. Now, they're all dead?
Yeah,
The sister and brother? She lived up north for all her life, I reckon.
yeah. You talk,
Yeah, I reckon he lived up all her life.
yeah, just right there. So you knew Ruth Helen, huh?
Who?
Ruth Helen, that would be Bobby's sister.
I didn't know what her name was.
Yeah. Did you know the youngest boy,
I know
Ronnie?
about him. I didn't.
the preacher?
Yeah, I know him. I made him, but I never was around him none.
You didn't catch that what I said a while ago, did you?
What's that?
You knew Miss Aldell, my one grandmother, but you also knew my other grandmother.
I didn't know but one.
Yeah, you knew my other grandmother, Lucille.
Oh, yeah, that's
Lucille.
my mother. She wasn't a grandmother to me.
She was a grandmother to me,
Yeah.
but you knew my other grandmother.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a picture of her whenever she was about 16 years old on my phone. I'd like to show it to you.
I got a picture of her.
You do?
Yeah.
At that age?
I got a picture of her when she was a kid baby.
When she was a baby?
Somewhere, I don't know where it's at right offhand.
A little bitty baby?
Yeah. And got a picture of her and my daddy when we got married. I don't know who made the pictures, but she didn't make them. My mom and dad never did have no camera.
You know, back then, if you even got your picture taken, that was considered a treat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just nobody had cameras much no more back then. We didn't. My mom and dad never did have a camera that I know of. They never owned one. Betty, when she got married, she started taking some pictures. Of course, my Betty, she always took pictures, and her daddy, he took pictures all the time.
Betty made it.
But maybe her daddy. He took a lot of pictures.
What was their last names?
Right.
Rights.
W-R-I-G-H-T, right.
Right. Was they kin to Hayden McRae?
Who?
Hayden McRae that lived down there in Hop In.
I don't wait. No, they was in Sharon.
Well, Hop In Sharon ain't but 8 miles apart.
I know it, but like I said, back then people didn't know people a whole lot. People lived scattered, and you didn't see many houses. You used to go out there in Texas and drive all day long and never see a house. When I was a kid, drive all day and never see a house.
Did you go out to California back whenever
I've
you
been
was
to
just
California, but I didn't go when my bunch went out there.
you didn't go out there whenever Charlie and Dad went out there?
No.
Why didn't you go out there then?
Gosh, I was 16 or 17-year-old.
Well, that don't prevent nobody from not going.
Well, it did me.
Why?
I was a home mode boy. I had a job to work at. They all run off and left me to the jobs they had started. I had to learn myself.
You knew the Pates?
Huh?
You knew the Pate family there in Rutherford?
Yeah.
You know both of them are dead now.
Yeah.
The boy's still living.
Thomas. And,
Yeah,
and
the boy's still living.
Yeah. They run that store there for years.
Who was it that was kin to the Rings that used to have a restaurant right outside of Rutherford? In between Rutherford and Kenton? Or maybe it was outside of Kenton going toward Union City, just outside of Kenton.
I don't know.
They was
I didn't know
kin to the Graveses.
Grazy.
Graveses.
Yeah, the Grays, I know the Grays.
You know, Danny wound up marrying one of them Graves girls. That was basically his third or fourth cousin.
Yeah.
But they was somehow kin to us that had that restaurant.
Jackie's daughter.
Jackie, yeah. You knew Jackie?
Well, yeah, Jackie. I was raised up with Jackie and well, what's James's boy's name? Ricky.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they were just little bitty tots when I was staying out there. Well, my uncle was staying with him.
Yeah.
Jim, I stayed out there for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, you told me you stayed out there with Uncle Jim.
And Ricky.
Was Uncle Jim hard to get along?
No.
He was a big old man, wasn't he? What was he, Irish?
No.
Had them big old hands?
He wasn't very tall.
Wasn't very tall, but man, he had the big old hands, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's big. He's a big
Did
fella.
you know he fought in World War One?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. James Homer went to service too.
Must have been in World War One.
He was with the Germans. See, we have 2 wars with the Germans and the Japs.
Yeah.
The last war, it was the last war.
How come you never did grab up a pistol and go to shoot?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Shooting squirrels.
Right?
No, I was supposed to one time. Jim got me deferred for the farm. I went and took the examination. They gonna call me, and he said he needed me on the farm, and he went somewhere and got off with it, and I hit me on the farm.
Really? You was going to be drafted?
Yeah,
Was that what war was that? The Korean War?
Korean War, I think, yeah. That was a politician war. That was some crazy war. Just like they tried. All them Democrats said that the wars they ever had were politician wars. Democrat people ain't got no sense no more.
Well, 75 years ago yesterday, President Truman made that announcement that the war was over. Who was the president after Truman? Was it Eisenhower?
No. I can just see him, but I can't call his name.
Was it Ted?
Who?
Ted?
No. I can't call his name.
Who was the president before Kennedy?
Roosevelt.
That was Roosevelt. So the president that I'm thinking about come before Roosevelt.
See, there was two Roosevelts.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Was it again?
The Teddy Roosevelt and
And the other Roosevelt.
other Roosevelt, I can't think his first name. There was two of them.
But it had to have been before Mr. Roosevelt of the president to come after Truman. He must have been a war horse.
Oh, Truman.
Must have been a war horse. You know what?
Yeah.
Well, when did you start voting? When did you start participating? I mean, yeah, when did you start voting?
I was probably 21, 2 years old.
Because you told me that the Democrat Party left you. You didn't leave it.
That's what they done. They left me.
So you can't go back?
No, I vote Republican. I don't vote Democrat no more.
Well, that's a travesty.
Huh?
That's a travesty.
What do you mean?
It's a travesty that you have to vote Republican because the Democrat Party has walked away from you.
Well, I wouldn't vote for them at all. All they want to do is marry the queers and kill the babies.
That's treason. That's treasonable. Treason.
The progressive people that took over the Democrat Party.
I thought the Republicans was a bunch of warmongers.
No. The Republicans is the people to vote for now.
It is.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's the people that's got Donald Trump in there.
Donald Trump ain't really a politician.
Well, what is he?
He's president. You don't have to be a politician to be a president. He knows how to run a business is what he knows.
I thought you had to have like a lawyer's degree to even throw your hat in the plate towards becoming a president. That you had to be like an attorney just to be a president.
No.
What makes you a candidate to become a president? A lot of money?
No.
A lot of backing?
If you want to run, you get so many people signing the paper and you run.
Is that it?
Yeah. There's some old dog out there in the road. Oh, black dog. No, anybody can run for president. See, we have a lot of people on the balance. You never heard of running for president.
Yeah, I know. So you was born in
That dog goes right there. Went up the street there.
That's a taco dog. That's a taco dog.
I was born in 1933.
You was born in 1933. All right, think about this.
During the Depression.
Think about this for a second. The Great Depression started in 1929. That's whenever the stock market fell, and that's whenever people started jumping out of the buildings up in New York City.
Yeah.
1929. How long did that go on?
Depression? I don't know. It went on probably 7, 8 years. The Hoover was in there, see, when that happened. They call it the Hoover days. It was going to happen regardless who was in there. It was coming.
Well, do you think, have you ever put a pencil and paper to it? Have you ever thought that maybe the 1918 Spanish pandemic, that according to Carrie Lee, your father was feeding a lot of the community down there, but the way that they'd feed them is that they would put their food or their bread or whatever in either a basket or put it in some sort of like a towel or something, and they would throw the food at the people and stay 15, 20 foot away from them. Do you think that the pandemic that hit in 1918 could have had something to do with the 1929 depression towards everything collapsing onto itself?
Well, it was starting. I mean, it don't just happen overnight.
It deteriorates over a certain period of years, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just works in.
Yeah. And of course, with now our society that we live in today, with everybody basically borrowing money. I mean, you'd think by looking at people that they had all kind of money, but if truth be known, they don't own nothing.
No.
They don't own their house. They don't own the clothes that's on them. They don't own their car that they drive. They don't own nothing. It's all on credit.
Yeah.
Well, now since this pandemic has hit, now people are starting to feel the effects of this even more so. Pertaining to people who's going to start losing their shirts and not keeping the lights on. So if the truth be known, between 1918 and 1929 was a period of basically 10 years. Instead of it taking 10 years for it to catch up with itself, now it's liable to not take but a year.
Yeah.
Because of the way people live. People live on a credit card. They live on a piece of plastic now.
Well, people don't know how to survive no more. If we must have a real bad crisis, the people be killing themselves.
Sure there would be.
They don't know how to survive. They don't know how to do nothing no more. All they know how to do is work a computer.
People are dependent upon the government now. They're solely dependent upon the government.
Television started out ruining the world. Computer is finishing it up. That's all they know how to. They know how to run a computer. That's all they know. They don't know how to do nothing with their hands.
They don't know how to do muscle work no more, grunt work.
No. History.
That's probably the only reason why America has done as good as it's done in the past 15, 20 years is because of bringing all that labor from Mexico, and those people hadn't yet been conformed yet towards becoming lazy, and they didn't mind doing a hard day's work for a decent day's wage.
Yeah, well, they're used to working.
But if the truth be known, if you was to pull out all the illegal Mexicans out of Texas, you'd probably collapse their economy in Texas.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But all these people that's got all these nice luxury items, just like some of these mules and stuff that they drive up and down the road, some of them things is $5, $6, $15, $20, $25,000. Some of these boats that they put out there in the water, $40, $50, $60, $75,000 for a boat.
It's on 100 now. Pontoons are $100,000 now.
You think these people own those boats?
They run them. I don't know if they own them or not, but they may own for them. But they got possession of them.
That's all they got.
People don't mind going in debt. I never did like to go in debt.
You had to have went in debt a little bit whenever you was running that business.
Had to what?
Get in debt a little bit whenever you was running that business.
Not much. I didn't operate on debts.
You didn't.
No. If I couldn't pay cash for it, I didn't buy it.
Really? Is your eyes and everything still holding up all right?
Well, yeah, I'm still seeing. I ain't run over nothing yet. They're watering up bad. I'm supposed to be dropping.
Mine are too.
It's allergies, I guess is what it is.
I don't know if it's that or maybe some glaucoma. You know, we had, David had glaucoma real bad.
Yeah, I got it bad too.
Do you?
My vision is top gone.
Yeah.
When I look at camera, I don't see up no more. I see the sides and damn still, but my up part's gone.
Really?
It closes in just like this right here, just kind of closes in.
Really?
And I'm putting four different drops a day in my eye. And that keeps them irritated.
Sure. But you're now 87 years of age.
Yeah. I've done lived too long.
Well, you're poor but proud of it, right?
Well, I've lived longer than I thought I'd ever live. And I was
But you're poor but proud of it, right?
Yeah. When I was 20 years old, I didn't figure I'd live to be 40, 50 years old. The 2000s was just something we talked about. I didn't dream I'd ever see 2000.
And now here it is, 2020.
It's 20, going on 21.
Mhm. Well, God's obviously keeping you around for a reason. Must be something that you haven't done that you was supposed to have done. What do you reckon that might be?
Don't know yet.
Huh?
I don't know yet.
Well, you'll figure it out there at the end.
Well, I guess.
Just about the time you
I'm-
fulfill
I'm,
your
I'm too old to do anything much anymore.
well, maybe all that money that you've been hanging on to, maybe you're supposed to give it to somebody.
I don't know who. What money?
I thought you had a bushel basket full of money.
No, I'm broke. I can't buy an old second hand.
So you're telling me you're so broke you can't even pay attention?
That's right, broke. Dead broke.
Dead broke.
When I moved up here, I run a 30-day credit is what I run on my business for 30 days. 3 years in there, I didn't have no kind of credit. Come up here, we're gonna put a satellite in. I didn't have no credit. They run my credit, and I didn't have no credit. I couldn't buy an old second hand. Betty had a J.C. Penney card, and she got that on credit on that J.C. Penney card.
Huh.
I never did like credit much. Never did like to go in debt.
Well, money in and of itself is a scam. The way that they loan it to you and they'll flaunt it in front of you, it's a temptation. Come and get it, come and get it. Come on, bunny rabbit. It's kind of like going out there fishing for fish. You know, you bait them up. You bait them up, you make it look like, hey, come and get this. You buy now and pay later, buy now and pay later. It's a scam.
Money,
It's a scam.
$1,000 is not a lot of money no more. It's
$1,000.
a lot of money if you ain't got it.
Have you ever seen so many people going broke?
Well, they don't know how to manage nothing no more. People don't.
Well, they've been suckered into this system plan towards buy now, pay later, buy now, pay later.
Well, that's what you do. They get in trouble with the credit cards. They use a credit card and they don't know how to use them. They get carried away doing it.
They go to college just to live out their remaining high school years, so they can party and have sex parties and be with the gals, and the gals be with the dudes, and the dudes be with the dudes, and the gals be with the gals, and then after they go to college for 3 or 4 years, they get a degree, and then they quit and they go to work for McDonald's or they go to work for Walmart. Well, why in the world did you ever spend that kind of money for to get a degree if you ain't going to use it? And then on top of that, they refuse to pay back the loan that they owed, that they took out the loan for.
Yeah.
So does that make any sense?
That's just the way you got to do.
If you was going to invest 4 or 5 years of your time in filling that noggin full of something that you needed, would you turn around and throw it all away?
No, I couldn't. I have to use it.
In other words, if you go to college and you got a degree in business, you need to pursue your degree in business.
I got a 7th grade diploma.
7th grade diploma.
Yeah. I quit 7th grade.
Did you? Did you ever get a GED or anything?
You got nothing.
I didn't either.
We didn't really need it.
Sure. Well, you had your skill. You had your help. You had your help. You had a skill. See, that's the thing about a lot of these kids nowadays. They don't have no skill. They don't know how to work on cars. They don't know how to dig ditches. They don't know how to wire a house. They don't know how to weld. They don't know how to build bridges. They don't know how to work on cars. They don't have no skill.
And the generation now is something else. Well, it's the mom and daddy's fault. They didn't teach them nothing when they was kids. Because I work with some people, I don't want my kids to come up like I had to work. They don't hurt kids to work. Keep them out of trouble. Teach them responsibility.
Well, I got something to tell you, then I got to go, okay?
I tell them.
Because I'm taking up a lot of your time. And I know that you're...
My supper done got cold.
Well, you're kind of like an attorney. Every time I come in here, it's like, well, my fees are $100 an hour, Dennis. I want you to sit down and make it quick.
Well, will you pay me now? You gonna pay me now or you gonna wait?
I got a pretty good bill going already.
Yeah, yeah, I'm charging it to you.
All right.
How are you gonna tell me?
Julie.
Julie.
the one out in California, has run into a hardship. You know, she's been divorced now from Nick for 4 or 5 years. Nick, her ex-husband, got cancer real bad, got lung cancer, and he's basically dying. And of course, he was like Bobby. He got messed up being in the military towards having post-traumatic stress disorder, and he was abusive. He was abusive to not only Julie, but abusive to the kids. Well, about 3.5, 4 years ago, I've been conducting a relationship with Julie, and Julie wanted to get out of the relationship towards making it official, towards divorcing him. I said, Julie, are you sure you want to do this? I said, you've been married to this guy now for about 22 years on paper. I said, even though you and him has been legally separated for the past 12, you're still married to him. I go, I realize the reason why you done it was because of the insurance and everything with the children. I go, but the children's now grown. But are you sure this is what you want to do, divorce him? Yep, I'm going to divorce him. I hate his guts. I don't want him tied into me. To where if she'd have just hung in there a little longer, she'd have wound up getting everything that he had. You know what I'm saying? As far as being his wife. Well, she choked herself out of that opportunity. But she still has, I guess, feelings for the guy. And she uses her Christian principles in behind that, in which there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to limit towards how far you go with that relationship. Louie, her oldest son, she's got a son 19 and a daughter 20, by the same husband, Nick. Anyway, she goes up to the mountain and they get into a big fight.
This is Julie.
Julie goes up to the mountain where Nick is, and Nick and the boy gets in a big fight. They tear the house all to pieces. He winds up doubling up his fist and hitting her in the face. Then he goes back in the back room and catches the house on fire, trying to kill all of them. Well, they hurry up and get a water hose out there and put the house out. In the meantime, her ex-husband falls or something, breaks his collarbone, and of course the young boy had already been in a fist fight, and they wound up institutionalizing him for a 3-day evaluation to see what was going on with him because of him hitting his mama in the face and catching the house on fire. In the meantime, she takes the ex-husband down to the emergency room to see what they can do with the broken collarbone. Well, I could have told him before they went down there, there's nothing that a doctor can do about a broken collarbone. I don't even know that you can even put your arm in a sling. You just got to tough it out until it heals. Well, anyway, she goes back down there today. Even though her son, 19-year-old son, is being evaluated. He's still in a hospital being evaluated, doing a psychiatric evaluation. She goes back down there to the mountain where ex-husband is, and the ex-husband has done broken out 12 or 15 windows in a $500,000 house. She called him 3 days ago before this ruckus started, drunker than Hooters Brown, driving Louie all over the place drunk. And I told her a while ago, I said, what you've done, you've got the wrong perpetrator in behind the closed walls. I go, the fact of the matter is, it was your ex-husband that drove that boy into him losing it to begin with, and that's the reason why that he's lashing out the way that he's lashing out, because of his dying drunken father. I go, the person that should have been arrested or put in a psychiatric ward is your ex-husband. He's the one that needs to go get checked out to make sure something, you know, and what they ought to do is bring in something like hospice, because when you're dying, a lot of people can't accept death, and when you're dying, sometimes it hurts. And of course, I'm sure that's probably got something to do with his drinking, he's probably trying to drink his pain away. Plus, he's probably got a lot of bad memories towards what he done overseas, being involved in a lot of killing and stuff. You know, a lot of those guys that they act like that they're gun ho. Oh, I'm gun ho. I can kill somebody and live with it. Well, you know, it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to do it. And a lot of those guys, a lot of those memories start coming back to them, and that's the reason why they wind up hitting the drug scene or the bar scene, is because they can't live with their conscience. But my question to you is this. What do you do in a situation like that? I told Julie, I said, Julie, you're not legally bonded towards having to go up there and be a referee for that bunch up there. I go, I realize that you've got feelings for your son, but your son's 19 years old now, and he can do as he chooses, and nobody has stuck a gun to his head towards making him stay in that environment.
She needs to get away from it.
And I told her the reason why is because you got two little kids. I go, what if all that stuff would have broken out and somebody would have pulled a gun out of the dresser drawer and you'd have been right there in the middle of it towards being a victim of circumstance and somebody pulled the trigger? I go, it's 1,000 wonders that either you ain't went to jail yourself or you yourself hadn't had to have gone to the hospital, or worse than that, go to the county morgue. I go, you need to stay away from that situation because you got two little ones. You got a little boy 12 and a little boy 8. You need to stay away from that situation up there.
Does she work or do anything?
No, she's not working right now.
How's she earning money?
I think she must have pretty good ties with some people up there, and her supposedly father to those two young boys makes good money, and plus their mom and dad, they're Spanish. And they live up there within a half a mile or a mile from her, and I think they take good care of the kids and take good care of her, and I think she's drawing some sort of a Social Security check herself. Like
How
maybe
old a woman is she?
Julie's about
40, 45?
45, 44.
She got her life messed up.
She's got her life messed up with that nut.
She needs to get away from it.
But people right now, they claim that the suicide rate among teenagers has escalated like it's never escalated before because of this pandemic that we're going through right now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people lost their jobs in the days.
30 million people. No insurance. What do you think about all this protest? Burning all these buildings and getting violent
Be
like
shot. One way to stop that is if it's all turns some small arm parlors and get about 30 or 40 of them, that stop all that stuff. They're using that to loot. They're not doing it for the
Well, there's a difference in protesting and looting.
That's what they're doing. They're looting. They're not protesting. They're looting.
They're hijacking the movement, ain't they?
They're thieves. That's
Yeah.
what they are.
Yeah.
I seen them on television going in stores carrying televisions out and everything, and the law was sitting there watching them do it.
Right. I've seen it before too.
They ought to have been shot. They're sorry about your people.
Well, the whole country's turned
And
that
if
way.
somebody comes up here and going to try to burn my house, I'm going to shoot him. I mean, I hate to shoot anybody, but I'm going to shoot him.
I hear you.
And then people out there and over in Missouri, they're defending their property, and the Democrat people are always trying to prosecute them for doing it.
Well, I mean, the mayor and the county mayor and all your county commissioners and all that stuff, I mean, they sat back and let all that stuff happen. They let it happen.
They could have stopped it.
They abandoned their posts. Dereliction of duty, as far as I'm concerned, especially whenever you take over a police precinct. You're going to take over a whole police precinct? Huh?
They just let it happen, and that shouldn't have took place. And like I said,
It's
they put
sickening.
some small arm fire loose on them.
It's sickening.
Cut down about 20 or 30 or 40 of them. That would stop it.
But what would that look like in the eyes of society?
Well, what's the society doing there? Burning your house down and stealing your stuff and walking out with it. Turn the statues down, history that we've had for years and years, and then destroying them just because they can do it.
That's bound to hurt you to see that happening.
Yes,
Does that not hurt you to see that?
sure. That's history. And they're trying to do away with history.
Well, it's probably kind of like that penny and a half raise.
It's,
They're just as ashamed of it as we are.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, being ashamed of something,
they're
just
communists.
because we're ashamed of it, don't mean that we can do anything about it, is it?
Yeah, the communists people is pushing this. See, the communists several years ago, my Sunday school teacher had 10 things they was going to do. The number one thing was sex. The next thing was the education. Destroy the education.
And then take us over by drugs, and then take us over
was
by
10 things.
by
I don't
debt,
remember
by
what they were
take us
now.
over by
But
debt
there was
towards
10 things.
waving that carrot in front of everybody. Come and get it, come and get it, and get everybody in debt head over heels.
Yeah.
You know, that in and of itself is a bondage. You know that.
Yeah, it's,
That's the same thing as slavery.
this is a different world than what me and you come up in now.
Oh, it's worse.
It's altogether a different world.
I don't know if it's going to get any better, Uncle Bill.
It ain't gonna get no better. It's gonna get worse. People's out of control. They got no discipline to them. They're getting away from God. God is not even in.
Well, think about this. I never could draw a crowd towards supporting me during the time that I was out preaching and evangelizing, and it was as if this whole area around here didn't nobody want to support a preacher or a messenger that was distributing a message of peace.
Yeah.
So if you don't want peace, what other alternative is there? If you don't want peace, that must mean you want chaos. If you don't want peace, that must mean you want war. If you don't want peace, that must mean you want anarchy. And that's what has befallen upon the society is anarchy. And you really don't have no one to blame but yourselves, because y'all had an opportunity that you could have stood in there with me in the Windmill Ministries, and didn't nobody want to support me because you thought I was touched. You thought I was whacked.
Where was you?
You thought I was a whack job.
Everybody's whacked to a certain percentage, you know it. Everybody's crazy.
Uncle Bill,
People.
does the Bible not teach against that? It's supposed. It says that we do not have a spirit of bondage. We have a sound mind. It says that we're supposed to be orderly. It says that we're supposed to do things in an orderly fashion.
What you're supposed to do and what you do is two different things.
Boy, I tell you what, if you don't look like Jesse James, I'll kiss your butt and give you 30 minutes to draw a crowd.
Oh,
You
Jesse.
look just like Jesse James.
Jesse James.
You got the same DNA, the same bloodline that he had.
But I ain't got the meanness as he had, though. He was an outlaw.
He was an outlaw. You got to keep in mind, during the time that he was raised up was during the Civil War era, with a bunch of barbaric, heathenistic stuff that was going on during that time
There
too.
was a lot of outlaws back then.
A lot of outlaws. The whole countryside was full of outlaws
They
back
lived
then.
with a gun.
Sure they did.
The Bible says you live with a sword, you die with a sword.
What's wrong with that?
That's where it goes.
What's wrong with that?
And that's where it goes.
See, I've got the sword symbolizing peace on earth, but I don't see nobody knocking on my door saying, Juby, 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 rescue us, rescue us. Don't you have the sword symbolizing peace on earth, Juby?
I thought your name was Dennis.
You know my spiritual incorporated name.
I got to eat my supper. I done gone an hour over more time.
Are you going to die of malnutrition?
I'll die.
Of malnutrition?
Yeah.
How's Lori? How's Reba? How's the
They're
family?
all good. I'm
How's the
drilling
dog
with-
catcher?
Who?
The dog catcher.
Who's the dog catcher?
Lori's little girl.
She a dog catcher?
Well, she works for the
Veterinarian.
Veterinarians Association.
She don't catch dogs. She,
You know what I'm talking
Yeah, I know
about.
what you're talking about.
That's just like if I called you a dumpster diver. Well,
Yeah.
what's a dumpster diver? What's a dumpster diver? Well, that's a hobo. That's
I've
a
got-
bum.
I've got to get
That's
my-
somebody that wants to go around jumping in dumpsters and feeding themselves. You act like you don't feel good. Is your back
I
hurting?
don't. My back's hurting on the swing here.
kidneys?
No, my back, upper part of the back, on and ribs up there was hurting me.
Do you care if I show you my grandmother